Carl and Damon here from Games, Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for sure, and they made what into a TV series? You think we were done with Castlevania? Well, we can't be done with Castlevania when there's a new show to cover. We are looking at Castlevania Nocturne, the following show to the excellent Castlevania 4 seasons that we have covered individually, episodically, and we are now going to do the same with Castlevania Nocturne. Having a bit of a recap, talking about our thoughts episode by episode. This is, of course, an American adult animated dark fantasy action television series created and written by Clive Bradley and led by producer Kevin Collard for Netflix. It is on Netflix, of course. Yep. It is a sequel to the Castlevania animated series based on a video game series of the same by Konami and adapted from the 1993 entry Castlevania Rondo of Blood and its sequel Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So that is what we're looking at here with adaptation wise. Set in 1792 during the French Revolution, it follows Richter Belmont, a descendant of the Belmont family, fighting against vampires and night creatures. That's the basic summation of Nocturne.
Yep.
Premiered on Netflix on September 28th, 2023. There are 8 episodes overall. So, cast and voice actors. Edward Blumel as Richter Belmont. Benjamin Plesser voices Richter as a child. So I want to get that out there as well. Even though it's only briefly there, he is there. Thuso Mbedu as Annette. Pixie Davis as Maria Renard, Richard Dormer as Emmanuel / the Abbot, Sidney James Harcott as Edouard, Natasha Kaninsky as Tara Renard, Zane McLaren as Olrox, Aaron Neal as Mizrak. These are all major players. Then we kind of drop to some of the less important ones, but they're in it nonetheless. Sophie Skeleton as Julia Belmont. Alarica Johnson as Drolta Tuzentes. Frank Potente as Elizabeth Bathory / Sekhmet. Well, we'll get to that character. Ian Glenn as Juicy Belmont.
Ian Glenn?
Yeah, you know him.
What do I recognise him now?
You know from Game of Thrones as Jorah Mormont.
Oh my god, really? Wow.
And Resident Evil as the main villain.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big name, man.
And he is playing a Belmont. And, of course, it is a spoilers, I'm afraid. James Callis as Adrian Tepes, a.k.a. Alucard. We'll get to that when we get to it. We begin episode 1. It's called A Common Enemy in Evil. Directed by Sam Dietz and Adam Dietz, but written by Clive Bradley. So we have a different writer for Nocturne, which I think is a smart idea because ultimately you want to differentiate this from Castlevania.
A different view, yeah.
Now, we should say, obviously, having done 4 seasons of Castlevania, it is initially disconcerting to start a brand new show off, but set within the same world, using similar animation and similar storytelling props. But thankfully, Nocturne is strong, and it settles down nicely and becomes enjoyable in its own right, and feels different enough, I think. We begin in Boston, 1783, and it appears to be a night of celebration with fireworks going off over the city. And we see a woman and a child walking down the street. But we focus on the important thing, which is the Belmont symbol on the back of her jacket.
Spoilers right here.
Yes. The child is a 10-year-old Richter Belmont, and he's being sent to France. But he's annoyed about it, even if his mother, Julie, insists it's for his own safety. So it seems like something's going on, and he's being sent away.
Yeah, something's hunting the Belmonts, it seems to be, yeah.
Yes. As a voice speaks, a very smooth, lovely voice, telling Richter not to listen to her. It is the powerful Aztec vampire Olrox, and he appears to have been hunting her. They face off, with Richter being sent to the ship, and it is the first battle of Nocturne, and it is an intense one to begin with. Olrox is clearly very powerful, and Julia is able to use both the skills of the Belmonts and the magic of the Bernardes. So that was a fun combination, wasn't it? So you got those, whip skills and abilities, but magic as well. Because descendants of Bernardes and Belmonts.
Even Richter uses a bit of fire, doesn't he? Yeah, so.
He does. When Olrox transforms into a snake-like beast, Richter tries to help using his own magic, but it does nothing. As she tries to protect him, Julia is killed. So Julia Belmont is out of this show. There we go. Richter watches in despair, but Olrox doesn't gloat. Instead, he approaches Richter and talks about hate and pain, claiming that Julia killed someone he loved. And you're like, okay, I could see that always been a bit of an issue in this world. Yeah. He then says that he will kill Richter one day, but not tonight. I want to start.
Pretty detailed, man.
Yes, with nowhere else to go, Richter takes the whip and leaves for France. And there he's raised by speaker magician Tara Renard alongside her daughter Maria. And that is our introduction to Castlevania Nocturne. We're off and rolling. And it's a great start.
Yeah.
I was so excited because I was like, okay. And I'm like, all right, Aurochs is our big bad. Aurochs is our big ran.
Yep.
Spoilers, not even close. In fact, he might be one of the most layered. He is on par with Alucard, not character-wise, into what the show will do as a layered character. But now, we jump to 1792, 9 years later during the French Revolution. So we should say this show is based a little more in reality. And we see how the aristocracy live while we hear Maria talk somewhere. She's rallying a rebellion. No more kings, no more aristocrats, basically. So it's the French Revolution and about rising up. We see a teenage Richter watching nearby, there for protection as vampires attack. The upper class is apparently filled with them and naturally want to put down any kind of rebellion.
Yep.
So there is that, of course. And it all makes sense. You're like, yeah, of course to be part of the upper echelons of society.
Yeah, of
and they certainly wouldn't want a rebellion. Both Maria and Richter fight the vampires. His skills are very Belmont and hers are magic based. But involves sort of summoning allies from out of like things like a bird and stuff like that. Which is an interesting twist on it.
Definitely, yeah.
One vampire, before dying, tells Richter of a prophecy that speaks of an ominous vampire messiah who will come and create a permanent night. And obviously a permanent night is game over for humanity. Yes. With vampires dead, Richter and Maria discuss the danger of holding meetings in the woods and wonder why there are more and more vampires popping up now than ever. They talk about what the vampire said, the prophecy. Wonder what it's special about this particular location, acknowledging that they're gathering at what is an island chateau nearby. Richter suggests they go investigate, but Maria decides it's best, look, let's lead the people back to town for now. En route, Richter suggests they talk to the church's abbot, but Maria is mistrusting of the church. But she does agree, and they head there now. So church is still a major part of this story. In fact, I will go as far to say is how the church is used in Nocturne overall is stronger than how it was used in Castlevania.
Yeah, it seems to be,
It goes places. Richter points out that she needs to keep her magic hidden because witch, basically. I was like, okay, yeah, of course, yeah, we've got to keep that shit there. And they arrive at the church encountering the knight Mizark, and after telling him about vampires, he brings them to speak with the abbot Emmanuel. Richter fills in the abbot, but the abbot kind of dismisses their concerns and refuses to believe that the marquis of the chateau could be harbouring vampires there. Maria gets on her soapbox, which just makes the abbot get defensive, and he offers to pray for their souls. Richter suggests they go and check it out, and the abbot actually does agree, but first he'll get his spies to look into it, promising that if there are vampires there, they will work together to destroy them. And as he points out to Maria, they have a common enemy in evil. So I really like this. You have this concept of Maria's rebellious nature, and church is as much to blame for a lot of the issues and subjugation that exists. But they also have a common enemy in evil. The church wants to destroy evil. They want to destroy evil.
Of course.
You work together, basically, to a certain degree. Richter and Maria leave and jokingly mock the abbot down the road. They do agree they did the right thing before they head home, even though Richter would like to get a drink. So we established that little bit of Belmont in him. Indeed. And we should say Richter is a little bit cheeky. He's older than his years are, and he's still a Belmont, but he's got a little bit of cheekiness to him. Out of a nearby pub, one of the revolutionary members we'd seen before, named Jacques, makes the unfortunate acquaintance of a female vampire. And now you're going to get what Nocturne does special. As she feeds him, a piano melody picks up and we transition to the chateau. So this is a great example of where Nocturne, I think, sells its vampires in a less fantastical way. And almost in a more like Interview with the Vampire way. More sexy, terrifying. The way she's standing on the steps, the way she moves, the way she smiles. And then that melody that picks up, because Nocturne is heavy on music melodies and singing and so on. I thought it was really dark.
Yeah, definitely, And it actually shows like the whole natural kill and the thing too. It didn't show that in
no, that's true.
It's a new touch of horror
to the show. Inside the chateau, we see the nobles, who are vampires, complaining about dullness. The still alive Jacques is brought in, and the others enjoy a feast until he is dead. That's again a really dark scene.
Yeah, because you see like the life go out of his
Yeah.
eyes too, and
And then we see his body being dumped on a big pile of other bodies, local. So yes, vampires just feed.
Yep.
Back home at their quiet cottage, having dinner with Maria's mother Tara, they discuss the night. As Maria talks, Richard remembers what happened to his mother and seems to be gripped by anxiety as he does. So that memory of his mother seems to bother him. Brought back to the moment by Maria, Richard does what a Belmont does and pretends to be aloof. Classic Belmont.
Yep.
But he does declare that he believes in them, and that is what matters to me. He does not. So his basic thing is that he doesn't really believe in anything, church, state, or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he believes in them, Maria and Tara. So that's good enough for him.
Yeah.
But the house is then attacked by night creatures, and in an interesting twist, no one knows what they are.
Very interesting.
And later this will be revealed as to why. But we'll say it now. They stopped being made.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped being made. And even if they were written down in books and descriptions about what they were and why it shouldn't be, those might have been lost to time.
That's what I'm saying.
But they were stopped.
Yeah.
They weren't being made anymore.
Exactly.
Because
So.
Isaac weren't making them. So I mean, like stuff like that.
So it's like episode 2 when they explain that.
Yes, so a battle ensues with all of them using their abilities, and it looks bad for them. However, they're then rescued by a man and a woman, the sorcerer and former slave Annette, and opera singer Edouard. Annette reveals that she knows of night creatures, and explains to Richter what they are, and the fact that no one has made any for centuries.
Yes.
They wonder aloud about the location of a Forge Master. That's Annette and Edouard. So they're mentioning a Forge Master before introducing themselves. Because during all of this, they're sort of talking out loud to each other.
Yeah.
And Richter's like, who the fuck are you? Followed by the fact that they've come here looking for Richter Belmont. So they're seeking him out. It turns out they've sought him out because they've also heard about the vampire Messiah. And the episode ends with the arrival of someone in France. Getting off a boat. And it's Orlocks. So, there we go. That's Nocturne's introduction.
It's a big.
All the major players introduced. The story given some legs to run on. The big bad suggested, the vampire Messiah, but also having a potential sub-boss character in Orlocks and him arriving in France. The mystery of potentially of who a Forge Master might be.
Yeah, who is it? Yeah.
And all of this, there's all these elements. It's a strong start. You sold? Because I'd already watched it. This is new to you again.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Yeah, definitely.
There we go. We're off and rolling with Castlevania Nocturne, Episode 1, A Common Enemy in Evil. You know what to do. You got any thoughts on it? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.